Okay, now for the next part, so we'll go ahead and do a couple of more practices, but before that let's understand the whole functionality. So as you can see on the screen, the x, what is seen against the function call is the parenthesis, in the parenthesis the elements which you're collecting. So there could be a function which is collecting nothing, right? That could be an empty parameter call function. That means you're just calling that function to create something, right, wherein no input is expected from the user. But most of the time functions do expect input from the user. So it depends whether you want one input, two input, three input. You can define it and you can create a function that way. So instead, if you want two values to be collected in the function, you'll have something like an a comma b or an x comma y or something like that, and then do the functionality over there, right? And then between the parentheses you will between the curly braces you will write the complete body of the function. So whatever operations you want, all those things you can see between the braces. And the return is the very important aspect, because this is where you are returning the final object or the output of your function, right? So typically a return, when you're returning anything, it will be a single element, right? If it is more than one, that typically is not possible in a user defined function. That is done with a window function, which is out of the scope for this course. Okay, so now let's just see a little bit more about simple functions in R, and then we'll look at a complex function in R. So let's redo something. So say for example, this is just for practicing. So cars, right? So we can have C, and then we can say Honda. So this is the first element of the vector, and then you have Toyota, and then you can have something like, say, Tata and Maruti and Ford. So that should be reasonable enough. And then you want a function to be created. So let's create car dot names. It's always advisable to have underscores instead of dots. So car underscore name, and then you say function, and inside function you're passing one parameter. Between these two braces you need to write the whole functionality. So I'm just trying to create a function which will check if the name is something like a Tata, right? Then I need to give a break statement, print name, right? Close this. So it would print anything but Tata, right? Okay, so now you have written this if, but I want something like a for also to work over here, right? So you're saying for I, or I in this case is name, right? So you can say collect name in X. So I'm just deleting this one and just going to write this down over here. Right. You just match the braces first, just to be sure that you're on the right side. So this is matching over here, this is matching over here, so that should be reasonable. And then you can just run this, right? And then later you can call this function car underscore names, in which you can pass cars. The function is car name, so we have to use it with that, right? So it would exclude Tata, right, and it will do it for the others, right? Okay, so let's just move ahead. So you can use the while loop also. We have already used this, so you can just practice with this. So I'm just stating that X. So let me first clean off everything which is in my environment, so that I'm starting fresh on a fresh slate. So I'm saying X allocation size 5. That means I'm allocating the value of 5 to X. F dot while, right, allocation sign function. So you're defining a function X, you're saying I allocation sign 0 while I less than x. So it's a condition. So if it is less than x, then you're doing a functionality that I is equal to I plus 1.5, and in the next line you're saying y is allocation I multiplied by 2, and then you're going to say print of y. And after this statement you're going to give a return. When you're saying return C, and in bracket you're saying I comma y multiplied by 2, right? So you can just run this and then use it later, right? So now I'm going to call this function f dot while, okay, set dot over here, and in this you can just pass x. So this is how it works for you. Okay, just clearing this off. Let's move to the next of writing a repeat loop. We have done this already, but we're just combining all these functionalities inside a function call so that you get a good flavor about the same. So again, cleaning off the console as well as the environment. So starting from a blank slate, so you're just writing some name of some fruit. So say apple, and then say orange, and say pear. You can have muskmelon, and finally you can have something like a grape, right? So that's already present in x, right? And then you're writing something like fruit dot repeat user defined function call. When you're saying that you're going to collect one parameter, when you're defining the function, and inside that you're saying I has been allocated a value of 1 in the initial level, and then you say repeat, and inside the repeat call you're saying print the value of x bracket I, and then you're saying I has to be incremented by I is equal to I plus 1, and if inside the function if x bracket I is equal to blueberry, so just cross checking with the blueberry, right? So I don't have that blueberry, so I'll just keep it as grape. So if it is grape, right, that's what I'm checking. If it is so, then do a break, or else you can continue with the normal process. Just run this. You're getting an error, so you have to put a brace over here. Okay, this has to be this way. And so we call the function. Now we need to just use it. So you're saying fruit dot repeat, and inside that you are just going to pass x, which is predefined, right? So grape won't come in because you have already mentioned that as a condition and extracted that. So you can probably use it in this way also.